What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing out there um, in Periscope land and on YouTube? Real heartbreaking game out in Buffalo today, or in Houston. Bills had their chances to win today, and they couldn't get it done. So it was an infuriating and really difficult loss for Buffalo, and up 16-0, had a chance to win, and Deshaun Watson made plays, but really I believe that the game was lost. The game was lost today by in the first half. In the first half of this game, the Bills decided that they were going to settle for a field goal when they were up 13-0. Or it might have been 10-0 at that time, but they ran the clock out at the first half. They didn't even take a shot to the end zone. And I'm going to read your comments later. I got to focus on some of these points that I'm trying to make here on this video. It's a combination of a lot of things. It's just Deshaun Watson got really hot. And after that fumble by DeAndre Hopkins, the Bills needed that knockout punch, and they just never put Houston away. It was a 16-16 game. J.J. Watt gets the sack, and you let a really special future Hall of Fame caliber quarterback hang around in his own stadium. Bad shit is going to happen eventually. The Bills thought that they could just coast the entire way. And it's sickening because the Houston Texans have no culture. They were on the verge of quitting. You saw their body language there when they were down 16-0. Deshaun Watson was playing like complete shit. And Bill O'Brien was on the verge of losing his job today. And the Bills couldn't move the ball on offense in the second half. They had very predictable play calling by Brian Daboll. I thought Allen was very erratic. Absolutely. I mean, the lateral at the end of the game, the way that he held on to the football, receivers didn't really get open, and there were no downfield aggressive throws in the game plan today. And it wasn't Josh's best game by any means. You know, he had a decent first half, but again, the Bills played like pussies today. They played like absolute pussies, you know. Going into the half, settling for field goals, thankful to be winning 16-0, waiting to see if the Texans were going to wither away and lose. And it was incredibly disappointing. And Josh Allen, that was a terrible sack at the end of regulation there. But you know, you got to give credit to Deshaun Watson. I mean, he absolutely shit on this Bills defense. You absolutely can blame this game a lot on the Bills defense. I mean, they played a good 3 quarters, but in the fourth quarter, they just got fucking torched. I mean, up and down the field, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde running right through them. It was a knife through hot butter, and their defense was a travesty. Those 2-point plays, 3rd and 18 in overtime. Like, are you fucking kidding me? 3rd and 18, and they give up a first down. When you do that shit, it's like, fuck it, you're not going to win the game. So the Bills defense today couldn't wrap up, couldn't get sacks, and it was absolutely awful. Oh, you got me to look there at the screen. Chris Senor, gosh dang it. But today was a game that the Buffalo Bills, they should have won the game, and they're the better team. And Houston has no culture at all. Houston's going to go down to Baltimore, going to lose big. It's just Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, their defense isn't good. Their secondary, so you couldn't take advantage of their secondary. You start off with an amazing lead, 16-0, and then you can't get any first downs. Every 3rd and 4, you're throwing it into the dirt. And it wasn't Josh's best game, but at the same time, Josh did get you in the field goal range there at the end of the game. Huge 4th down stop by Buffalo to give yourself a chance. And Hauschka was amazing today. I thought Singletary was an absolute superstar today in the game. And Hauschka clutch as nails to get that thing in the overtime. And I thought that the Texans were going to get that 1 yard, and the Bills defense was stout there when they needed to be. Matt Milano in coverage was not good enough. I'll tell you what, maybe it was Johnson or some of these other guys. It's just they were giving up too much cushion to Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. And if you're going to beat if you're going to beat a good, if you're going to beat a great quarterback in his home stadium, you got to put him on his ass and finish him. And at the end of the first half, they ran the ball to the clock. They ran it to halftime. They're like, we're playing so well. We have nothing to worry about. We don't want to lose any momentum. We don't want to risk Josh Allen turning it over at the end of the half. And by them not going for 6 points, it bit them in the ass. When they couldn't get a touchdown, when DeAndre Hopkins' fumble happened and Houston's ready to mail it in, those guys were ready to mail it in the third quarter when you looked at their body language. And that is why you need a wide receiver that can go down the field and get you a 35-yard chunk play. You can't have all these midget 5'10", 5'9" receivers out there trying to make plays. And, Josh Allen was just completely out of control, but Dable did him no favors. There were no running plays, but Josh Allen took that terrible sack. Josh Allen nearly lost the game of trying to lateral that ball. He didn't run as aggressively as he had. He was slow at getting through progressions. That throw to the fullback would have been a legendary play, but there was just nothing available. And the Bills just got completely flustered on both sides of the ball, and it wasn't Josh's best game at all. I thought he battled. I still think that Josh Allen's a really good quarterback. I think he's a good player in this league. But at the same time, the Bills just were not mentally ready to step on their throats and absolutely win that game. And Deshaun Watson deserves all the credit in the world. I mean, the play in overtime was special. The 3rd and 18 play was special. But just getting it to overtime in the first place was a miracle. Getting that 4th and 1 stop. Then Hauschka hits that bomb field goal from 47 yards. You can't say enough about Hauschka. Former Bills kickers would have missed that kick. And then in overtime, the Bills were driving after that Darren Fells drop, and the Bills had their chance after Singletary caught that ball, and they needed to run the ball in the Hauschka range, and they abandoned Singletary in the running game, and that was really the end of the game. That penalty by Cody Ford loomed large because Hauschka could have had a 52-yarder to win the damn game. And that ticky-tack call absolutely is one you're not going to get over. 3rd and 18, you're not going to get over. You're not going to get over having a 16-0 lead and having Houston on their ass and not being able to put a fork in them, put a knife in them, and then allowing just an absolute heartbreaker because you were so close in that overtime after Josh Allen hit Singletary. If Hauschka wins that game, you then the conversation instead goes from Josh Allen was a liability down the stretch to Josh Allen made that heroic throw to Devin Singletary that allowed the Bills to win, and the Bills would be heroes. So, I mean, just a heartbreaker of a game for Sean McDermott, for Brian Dable, for the Buffalo Bills. They had an opportunity here to make a run in these playoffs, and they were the better team. I really believe that their defense is a lot better than the Houston Texans. They were up 16-0. I thought that I do think they're better coached, and late in the game, on the road, they just let Houston hang around, and shit like that's going to happen. And Deshaun Watson's the clutchest quarterback in the NFL other than Russell Wilson. So when you play Russell or Deshaun Watson, those are probably the two best quarterbacks, maybe Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. But Deshaun Watson's a top 5 quarterback. There's no doubt about it. I know Aaron Rodgers is getting older, but even Drew Brees I would have rather played because Deshaun Watson just makes so many off-schedule throws. Josh, I agree. Josh Clark says Allen will be better because of this. Mickey G says typical Bills. Nate saying that absolutely first playoff game. Allen made several incredible plays. Absolutely. The touchdown catch, the throw to Singletary. Even Dawson Knox and Duke Williams made sensational plays. So the future is bright. I mean, Duke Williams played a fantastic, fantastic game today. Ed Oliver, I even like Siren Neal, played really admirably today. I think he's a talented player. Yeah, I mean, it would have been tough to win in Baltimore. So at least, this didn't happen in an AFC title game. But this is going to be hard to swallow because of 3rd and 18, and you never know when you're going to get that opportunity again. And the coverage about Josh Allen, about all these knuckleheads that are saying you can't win with Josh Allen as your quarterback, and Sean McDermott needs to be replaced, and Brian Dable. No, you need congruency. You need to keep everything together. And I think if the Bills get like a nice wide receiver that's not 5'8", if they get a receiver that's above 5'5", that can actually go down the field and make a big play, um, I think that the Bills can be really, really good going forward. Yeah, I think that this experience certainly is going to help this team, and the pain that this feels. This team was good enough to be in the final 8, and that's what's so sad, is that this defense was so ready. McDermott was ready, and you can't use youth as an excuse. You can't. There's no excuse. You're up 16-0 in the game, or you're up 10, you're up 13-0. You have the ball on their 30-yard line. You got to throw the ball into the end zone and make a play. And then at the end of the game there, they didn't even give their guys a chance to go win the game. Josh Allen tried out on the field. It was really chaotic. And Josh Allen, a lot of delay of game penalties, a lot of stupid fumbles today, and his ball security's got to improve, but also this running game has to improve, and Duke Williams and Dawson Knox need to get better, and this offense just needs to be more consistent. It was good. Singletary's a big-time player. This offensive line is good. This team is good. It just needs that killer instinct, but I believe that next year, they should probably win the AFC East. That they're better than New England. So next year they got to win the AFC East, and you got to get a bye. If you get a bye, then that's how you survive in these playoff games. You got to get home games, and you got to get byes. That's why we're probably going to see 49ers and Kansas City and Baltimore playing in the Final Four. That's why those 4 teams are going to be in there. And then in the NFC, probably the Saints will go to Green Bay, but that's what's going to happen. They could add stuff to the coaching staff. I think that Dable, though, I just don't want to fire that guy. I don't want to fire Brian Dable because, then you got to get a whole new OC in there. His play calling is bizarre with the empty sets and then not running the football. So, Brian Dable's not going to. I don't think you should leave. I like that Frazier and McDermott are going to be back. I thought Allen played hard, and I love the way the guy's going to play because he's going to hurt you with dumb plays, but he's also going to make ridiculous plays that are going to keep you in games. And if Cody Ford didn't have that play, the Bills would have won. If their defense got some stops late in the game, the Bills gave up 19 points, and if that 3rd and 18 play would have been defended. There were other 3rd downs that were just Deshaun Watson going out there and Deshaun Watson improvising and just making incredible plays. So, the Bills defense let up there down the stretch, and the Texans took advantage and got back into this game. So I think that the defense is absolutely culpable for losing the game. I thought that Josh Allen and the offense didn't really have a ton of opportunities, but I would rate this loss. Honestly, if I had to give blame for this loss, I would probably give it to McDermott and Dable, in that at the end of the first half, they needed to absolutely fucking step on the jugular and kill him. And they did not do that in any way. But also, I would give the blame to the defense. I would give it to the secondary, the linebacking core for letting Deshaun Watson come back. And the Texans were just unstoppable. The Bills couldn't get a negative play. And that's what's going to happen when you face a great quarterback on the road. And that's what's going to happen when you can't take the fight to him. I mean, last year, Andrew Luck had that vertical passing game with T.Y. Hilton, and the Colts were able to run the ball. They were much better coached, and they were able to win this game in Houston. But the Texans are not a good team. They played like dog shit the first 3 quarters. They rewarded you so much stuff. Their 3rd and 2s were awful. Deshaun Watson was hesitant. Their defense was missing tons of tackles. So the Texans played like absolute shit for the 40 minutes. And then they woke up in the last 20 minutes and were able to beat you. So you weren't able to take advantage of the Texans playing at their absolute worst. And that's why this loss just stings so much, because you're the better team. You should have won that game. And I mean, it's just so disappointing. I can't tell you, because this Bills team deserved the right to go to the Final 8. And it's so disappointing. I don't think the Bills are going to get another OC, but I'm just furiated, or frustrated, pissed off, and really heartbreaking, because when Singletary catches that ball, you think that the Bills are going to go on and win a game, and it did not happen. So, Patriots are going to win. Listen, I'll probably root for the Niners, but we'll see what happens in the playoffs from here on out. Whatever the heck happens, it's going to happen. The Bills, I was emotionally invested. It was 25 years since they've last won a playoff game, and that town was ready to explode and ready to go to the airport and celebrate. And yeah, it's disappointing. That is just really devastating. It's one you'll never forget. It is a devastating loss. You were the better team. Couldn't put a fork in them early. You let them hang around, and they got you. And Deshaun Watson deserves all the credit. J.J. Watt's the narratives will be so frustrating now about Josh Allen. And that's it, guys. Thanks. All right, see ya.